What's up, everybody? Welcome to our channel. I'm Dallas.
And I'm Chris.
On today's video, we are reading posts from the Reddit, Am I the A-hole? And yes, I'm going to say a-hole so I don't have to bleep it out the whole video. We are going to be giving our opinions, even though they don't really matter. Nobody really asked for them. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the video. So I'm going to go ahead and read them from the phone, but I'm going to put it up on the screen so you can read along, read at your own pace, however you like. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first one. This is, Am I the a-hole? Boyfriend and I have different opinions. Looking for some insight, he suggested I post here to see what everyone thinks. Boyfriend, 32, and I, 27, female, went out to eat at Waffle House. I can never finish my food, and he's always able to finish. He literally had 2 bites left when our server went to our table and asked if we needed anything. It was 5 in the morning, and she had other customers to attend to. So I asked if I could get a to-go plate. She said yes, and my boyfriend was so livid. He told me that he lost his appetite. He finished his 2 bites before she left to grab my to-go plate. And what I just did was rude and unacceptable. I asked how, and he said it's rude and insulting to ask for a to-go box when people are still eating. But he was on his last 2 bites that he had finished. I told him it wasn't a big deal. He called me an a-hole, and he said everyone on Reddit will think so as well. So Reddit, was I the a-hole?
That whole thing is all messed up.
I know. It really is. It really is. So Reddit, of course, agreed with you and said, not the a-hole. Yeah, I think that there is something to be said for food etiquette and, manners. And, maybe if you're going to a restaurant and spending, $1,000, like a really fancy restaurant, and like there's other people and like everybody's having a good time. I mean, I don't even see it then, but I mean, I could see it then. So I'm just thinking,
I still wouldn't be upset.
No,
if
of
somebody
course
was at
not.
the table
I'm just thinking of like where he's coming from, like as far as like manners, because I know what he's saying, because I've been yelled at by a table for taking plates before this one. Like there was 4 of them, and this guy yelled at me because I took away. They already had all their plates stacked, and they were like, "Here, take the plate." And I took the plates, and the guy went off on me in front of all 3 people and was telling me I was so rude and that I was not educated. Like, no, he went off on me because he said that was bad manners. So to me, I was just like listening to the people. They were like, "Take my plate." So I was like, "Okay, I'm just doing what you said."
No, but really, you had 2 bites left, and you're gonna get mad.
Yeah, which he finished.
Which he finished before they even got the box to her. So
yeah, so I just think he's being just a wee bit dramatic,
I think he's the a-hole.
Yeah.
You're not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. And Chris is gonna read the second one for us.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Am I the a-hole for having a child-free wedding? I am getting married in a few months, and my fiance and I have decided to have a child-free wedding. We're not child-free people. We do want some kids of our own someday, but we also want to have the parents / our friends there. We will involve my nieces and nephews in the ceremony, but after photos are done, they're going home. All members of our families seem to agree with the plan. 2 weeks ago, my brother asked if his kids could stay for some of the reception. He said his kids would love to be there, and they would really enjoy dancing with everyone. We said no. He asked us to think about it, and we said we would, but the answer is likely no. He hasn't said anything directly to me since then, but I feel like him and my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
But I feel like him and my sister-in-law think I am an a-hole. So, I don't think you're an a-hole for wanting a child-free wedding. I mean, that's your wedding. You can decide who comes and who does not come. And if you don't want children there at your reception, it is what it is. It's the rules that you create for your party. So, I don't think you're the a-hole.
Yeah, weddings are expensive, and they can be. And honestly, I mean, I've pretty much given my opinion on a different kind of wedding situation, and another Am I the a-hole video. Go check it out. And as far as I'm concerned, it's your wedding. You are paying for it. You should be able to invite who you want. Honestly, I don't think that was the post though. They said that they wanted the children at the ceremony as like the as like the flower girls or whatever.
Did I read that wrong?
No, you read it, but that's
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what.
Oh yeah. Okay, so they wanted
Yeah.
the children at the ceremony,
At
but
the
not the
ceremony,
reception.
but not the reception.
Yeah, and
So
Yeah.
on one hand, what I think is like it might be two-sided. On one hand, I think you should invite whoever you invite to your wedding, but have the children be a part of this ceremony if they're not going to be a part of the reception, and only because that I feel like that's more work on the parents. So what are they going to do? They're going to leave the party, go to the babysitters. They're going to what? Most of them are probably going to leave anyways because their children aren't welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it would be one thing if you were like, no children allowed, ceremony or reception. That would be a different thing. I've seen weddings like that, and there's nothing wrong with that because, like I said, weddings can be expensive.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're asking a lot right now. You're doing a lot.
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't read it right because
You
she
were
wanted the
reading
kids
it. You probably just didn't.
It didn't
Yeah,
click.
it didn't click.
So she wanted
yeah.
the kids at the reception.
She wanted them to be a part of the reception
or the ceremony, but not the
We're
reception.
confusing everybody here. Yeah.
That's a different story because
Yeah.
then you got to drive your kids back to wherever they
That's
got
what
to
I'm
be.
saying. Like,
Yeah, that kind of makes
and
sense.
the kids, the
Yeah.
most boring part of the of the whole wedding, the freaking ceremony, and you got the kids that can't eat,
Yeah.
they can't dance. Like what?
Sounds like a whole lot of extra work.
No cake. Like what? Kids.
Don't give the kids cake.
If I were those parents, I'd be like, I'm good. Wow. Okay. Anyways,
So I'm kind of torn on that one.
Yeah.
Then
I think you are the a-hole for in the way
Yeah.
you wrote. Like context is everything in these posts.
either
Like,
you
that's
want
what
the
have
kids
to
there or you
understand.
don't want the kids there.
Exactly. And honestly, Reddit said the same exact thing. So
So I guess they're half and half.
yeah. And I can't even say it's everyone's the a-hole here because everyone's not the a-hole. I mean,
Yeah.
you technically are being the a-hole. So.
Sounds kind of bridezilla-ish of you. No.
Oh
I'm just kidding.
You tell them. Don't make this come for you. All right, now for the third and final Am I the A-hole post? Am I the a-hole for always wanting to tip less than society expected? My partner, 24 female, and I, 23 male, like to go out and eat every now and again, and we always have this debate. I think that tipping more than $8 for our two-person meals is insane. With inflation, the prices of our meals have gone up, but the work that's being done stays the same. I know people will say if you can't afford to go out to eat, don't go. True. But I can't afford to, and I just don't understand why tipping culture expects me to tip 15 to 20% of the bill for taking my order. Everyone needs to save money, and if I cut corners at tipping, then what's the problem? I would happily and honestly rather order my food at a counter, get my meals myself, and buzz my own tables. I understand that waiters and waitresses make abhorrently low wages, but why do their wages have to come from customers and tips? There's almost a shaming if you don't tip people. But why would I tip someone just for doing their job? Baristas, ice cream shop workers, fast food restaurants, etc. I worked at a Chipotle for 3 years and rarely got tips, and would more often than not have to tell people how to skip the tip section. It upset me, sure, but I was getting paid to make their food, and tips weren't expected. I never wanted to shame people into tipping me or act like it was necessary for good service. I just think the whole flip screen to the customer to tip and look at them with puppy dog eyes or don't make eye contact at all to get a tip is a little strange and guilt trippy. My partner believes that tipping at 15 to 20% is standard, or throwing $1 a barista's way is a kind gesture. I don't deny that it is kind. They get embarrassed when I don't tip or don't tip what they think is enough, specifically in restaurants, which I can totally understand due to societal norms, pressures, and expectations. We always stack our plates, put trash on top, and leave our tables as clean as possible to make waitstaff's job as easy as it can be. I think that alone is enough to warrant less than 15 to 20% tip. This whole thing comes down to the bosses and society thinking it's okay to not pay their staff a livable wage. Dream scenario here. If people weren't tipping so much, wouldn't waiters and waitresses leave their jobs and then wages would go up to a normal non-waiting job minimum to get them back? I think it's awful. What they make hourly is so low, but I know some wait staff that make hundreds a night on tips. My thought process is always there's a richer person who will always tip big. I respect all y'all waiters and waitresses and appreciate what y'all do. I wish I could wait on myself to avoid the weird interactions around tipping. So, am I the a-hole for thinking tipping culture is getting out of hand and tips shouldn't be expected to be 15 to 20% of your bill?
Hasn't it always been 15 to 20%?
I mean,
I know there's a 10,
back
15,
in the
and 20.
day, it's like gradually goes up throughout the years. When I was like a teenager, I believe it was like 10%.
Yeah.
My grandmother was she was tipping way more than that. Like my family have always taught me to be good to waiters and waitresses, and not to mention we were both in the restaurant business for a long time.
Part of the American culture. When you go to a restaurant, you tip your wait staff, or they're not going to want to wait on you.
It is an American culture because overseas, like a lot of like overseas countries, they are paid a full living wage.
Well, I know in Greece, I don't think they tip. I think in Greece, tip is not.
There's a lot. I think Canada, some parts of Canada, like they don't tip, and because they make a livable wage, like the person was saying.
Yeah.
I honestly think that person was saying a lot of nonsense to try and justify what they're doing, the horrible things that they do.
Everybody knows how to tip when you go out to eat here. If you're from overseas, you know, they might not tip there, but you come here, everybody knows. They come from Greece and they come here and they know they had to tip.
Let's explain why though. When we were waiting tables, when I first started waiting tables, I've been in the restaurant business for like 23 years, I think is what it ended up when I left the restaurant business and never looked back. I was making $2.39 when I first started. Now, moving up throughout the years, and we haven't been several years now since we have worked in restaurants, but we were making, I think it went up right before we left, and we were making, what, $5? $5.25? $5.25 an hour.
Yeah.
Our paychecks were just, like, part of our groceries for that. It wasn't, because you have to think, they're taking out taxes, and also, one thing that person doesn't understand, obviously, is that when it comes to restaurant workers, we're not going to talk about baristas and ice cream shop workers and fast food workers, because even though we still tip in those situations, a lot of people don't, and it's an acceptable thing because they are making a livable wage. So a lot more than $5.25 an hour, you know what I mean? So what I think that you should work in an actual restaurant to figure it out, because when you work in a restaurant also too, you have bartenders, but in a lot of restaurants you have to tip the bar out with your tips. You have to tip busboys out. If you have food runners, you have to tip the food runners out. Your tips most of the time in any restaurant you work at, minus I'm sure some like diners or whatever that don't like serve alcohol or whatever, like I'm sure there's different situations. Most people, your tips are not just your tips. They're going out throughout the whole restaurant.
The money they have to tip out to the restaurant is not based off of the tips that you make. It's based off of the batch report or the full list of everything you sold for that night. So if you're not making 20% tips, you're giving out a whole lot more money.
You're giving out 20% of your total sales is what it is. I'm
not saying you have to tip 20%. The service wasn't that great, different. I understand.
Yeah, but it's different everywhere too. Listen, I think no matter what, I think everybody should tip.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I also think you don't know what somebody's going through that day. You don't know what somebody's going through in their life. So I also don't think it's up to you to put something like that out into the universe and even bother people, because there's a lot of struggling moms. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of struggling students. There's a lot of struggling people that work really, really, really hard to make the money they make. And for you to come in and write that, I feel like you're just discrediting, you're making little of all of everybody else's situation. I do.
And there's so little people that do not tip compared to the people that do tip. So you not tipping, you do look like the a-hole.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. Well, I think we established that when I read the title. I think we both thought.
I also wanted to say and point out that particularly the last couple of restaurants that I've worked in, you also have to pay a percentage of the credit card tips that you get as a merchant fee. So basically they take all of your credit card tips, they add them all together, and they charge you a merchant fee, and it's been different at multiple restaurants. But every single night you get you literally are. It adds up. A couple dollars here and there every single night. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I think you're the a-hole. There's places you could go where you don't have to tip. McDonald's, Burger King.
Yeah, well, that's what he was saying. He's like, I love to go eat at fast food places. You know, also too, even though I think everybody should tip on takeout, you could always get takeout, but I still think that people should tip on takeout because doing takeout orders is a lot more complicated because you're packing everything to go, you know, wrapping it up, if it's soup, if it's bread, if it's...
Yeah, they're working.
You could see the PTSD coming back from the restaurant industry.
But the money you're paying for the food is not going to the waiter, it's going to the restaurant. Yeah. So the tip that you give them is going to them for the work that they're doing for you.
Yeah, but so. I just think that, you know, I think that you relying on other people to tip on their good experiences is absolutely insane. And it...
Hello, Editor Dallas here. I thought I'd pop in super quick, let you know my phone died before we could officially deem this person the a-hole, which we did. I'm sure you got that vibe. I wanted to also quickly apologize for the sound in this video and in the last video. I know it's been wonky. I am going to try and get it fixed. So hopefully by the next video, it's all set. But thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching this video. I'm going to hop back into it, but I hope you have the best day.
We are going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. Comment down below what your opinions are, if you think they're the a-holes or not. Also, comment down below if I happen to read your post, because wouldn't that be like crazy? It
would be crazy.
It would be, right?
Yeah.
We post full videos every single Wednesday and a ton of YouTube shorts daily in between that. So make sure you're subscribed. That way you can turn on the bell icon and that will notify you every single time that we post. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have the best week. And as always, see you next Wednesday. Okay.
Hello, squad.
I forgot.
D&B squad.
D&D or D&B?
D&B squad.
D&B.
It's Dallas and Blanca again.
And today on this video today, today for this video we are reading Reddit. Okay. Sorry.
You always look at me first.
I know.
Like I'm gonna say something.
I'm just like
okay.
readying
Thank you guys.
Okay. That's not what I was gonna say. Sorry. Okay. Cut that out, editor. Delete all of that.
Every single clip.
Everything. The whole video. Delete the whole video, please.